Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret Raccoon podcast, episode 74. I am Ace.
And I'm the Angry Raccoon.
And this is our final podcast of Halloween season.
Yes, I'd imagine, actually, that given how people tend to watch and listen to podcasts, people probably listen to this on Halloween. So,
great.
Happy Halloween. Hopefully you're staying safe. Hopefully you've had a good October. Or hopefully you've had a good Halloween, I should say, I guess.
Don't drink as much as I will. That's bad for you.
And that's a lot, guys.
Yes.
I'm talking to the kids, especially here. But we've got an odd podcast for the most part. I guess you could say it's spooky in some sense, but we're not going to spoil it. You might have figured out, especially if you've seen the entirety of what is considered podcast 74. But let's not dilly-dally too much. And Ace, what have you been up to? How have you spent the last few days of October?
I've spent it watching and I guess playing current things. The first thing I'll say is I saw Thor Ragnarok in cinema.
Oh, you did?
I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people are saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, it was good.
People always seem to say that as soon as some kind of superhero thing comes out.
It's so confusing. But I think trailers and just the fact that they continuously said Hulk's going to be in the film spoiled what could have been an amazing reveal.
Okay.
Because the way it's set up during that film is like, that would have been perfect if it was just Hulk appears and you're like, what the fuck?
I mean,
but, yeah.
To be fair as well, it's somewhat expected. I mean, if you saw Civil War, characters were missing.
Yeah, but
I'm not assuming that everyone's going to jump to that conclusion and go, that must mean in the next film, Hulk's going to turn up.
Yeah.
No.
But, yeah, I think the film would have worked better if they were a bit sly with the trailers. Funny enough, something I didn't mention in the Blade Runner review, I'd probably say the same thing about Harrison Ford.
Oh, not yet.
No, about Harrison Ford. Like, if he wasn't in the trailers or advertisement, it would have been so much more powerful.
Yeah, because it would have left people guessing for the most part.
Exactly.
I'm probably going to pass that. I'm more interested in the final 5 films I want to see this year, so I'd much rather save my money for that. And besides, it's Thor.
It's definitely the best Thor film.
I mean, that's all they need, because, I mean, it's a reboot already, and just,
Kind of, yeah. There are a whole bunch of characters where they're like, fuck them. But
it's a reboot.
It does continue events. There's a good bit in the intro, which I'm not going to spoil. It definitely references things from the bad film, but it does it in a good way.
Yeah, it's most likely a softer reboot, I would say.
Yeah. But I'd still say it's worth watching. Like, I kind of liken it to Ant-Man. I enjoyed it. It could have been better. But, yeah. Definitely one to watch at some point. Not a must run out and see it.
No.
Second thing I watched was Stranger Things Season 2.
All of it already?
Yeah. Basically, it came out in like 2-3 days ago from when we recorded this.
Yes.
And I watched it all because I hate spoilers. It's one of the worst things for me.
Completely understandable.
Yeah. And I would say overall, I liked it more than Season 1.
Okay.
I was a bit mixed on Season 1.
Okay.
This one's definitely more positive. But I will say the start for Episode 1 is like 1 minute intro or something. Absolutely horrible. I could not stand it. Okay. And the whole of Episode 7 was shit tier filler. It was absolutely horrible. And they could have cut that off and made 5 minutes of that in another episode, and it would have been better.
How many episodes in total?
9.
Okay.
So there's literally one terrible episode in a 9-episode series. Which, it's very
not great,
painful.
I guess.
But I liked the characters a lot more. I actually really liked Winona Ryder this time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Season 1 I was very...
Spoilers, she's in Season 2?
Oh my god! But yeah, definitely enjoyable. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching it down fairly soon, hopefully. Unfortunately, probably after October, because I got to go back to work soon. So
yeah,
we'll see. I can't exactly binge watch that.
And finally, I played the game Observer, which is I think it's on Windows as well, but it's an indie game I've got on PS4. There's no physical copy, unfortunately. I like physical copies. And essentially it's a cyberpunk horror game, but the same people who did Layers of Fear. And it's more gameplay than Layers of Fear. But there's one aspect that's really like, just no, stop this bit, because it was horrible. It's like a kind of, it will kill you instantly. And you're like, yeah.
Cool, I like those. Those are my favourite.
Exactly. But overall, I think it was very stylish, and there was some... The few interactive bits that was there, I really liked, and would love a game more focused on that. And plus, Rutger Hauer is just great. He was the main guy. But that's mostly what I spent my time doing. There was some other stuff, and I really don't think it's worth mentioning. It wasn't that important.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm not going to press you into anything. I don't know what you've been up to. For me, I had a fairly hectic and busy last week, unfortunately, because things just weren't quite going right. And considering some situations, my Mac's kind of on the fritz, unfortunately, and because of that, I've had to cancel a few videos, especially the other October special. It's going to get uploaded at some point in the future, but not now. I mean, I was barely even able to make our Until Dawn playthrough work. Like, it was just that, and then it decided to die. So everything's kind of at a bit of a standstill, which is kind of annoying. So I was essentially forced to enjoy my week off.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I managed to get a ton of things watched, which I'm going to hopefully go through as fast as possible. I managed to actually watch a couple of films I really wanted to watch for the longest time, and the first one being The Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. It's a fantastic film if you haven't seen it. Took me a while to get to, but I finally managed to do so. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I believe we talked about this on the last podcast.
Yeah, the horror recommendation.
Yes, and it was one that was on my list, and I was kind of like, let me grab this now. Really enjoyed this film. This is a very strong film, perfect for... kind of perfect for Halloween, I would say. It's a very good film. I don't be put off by the fact that it's in black and white. I know there are some people who are like that.
I actually kind of forgot that when I was talking about it, that it was black and white.
Yeah, but it's no big deal, though.
Exactly.
Going back a bit, Videodrome.
Oh, yeah,
which is
classic Cronenberg.
Cronenberg, yes. For some reason I was forgetting his name, which is a pretty good film. I enjoyed that one a lot. Not really Halloween-ish, but a little bit deeper, I guess you can say in some sense. One of the newer films I watched was Raw.
Yes.
The newest, the French film Raw, which was an interesting film. I was actually surprised. It's very well made. It is pretty good. I was actually surprised as to where it went for the most part. I believe we did talk about the trailer on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a squeamish person, but I can imagine this not being a film for people who are vegetarians or who like animals.
Oh no, I love animals.
I would say be wary, because there are a few messed up scenes, and the thing I give the film props is it's not trying to shock you or scare you with any of its things in it. It's not trying to be like, oh man, we're the grossest, the goriest film ever, because
it's not like exploitation film.
No, it doesn't have that exploitation feel at all. It feels it's trying to be as realistic as possible, given the fact that the film is mirroring real life as much as possible. What would it really be like if this did happen in the situation, without spoiling too much if you don't know what it's about? But I would recommend it if you can watch it this year, to put it on your best of list. I don't know, maybe.
I really do need to watch it.
It needs to be... No, I wouldn't say a must-watch, because like I said, if you're squeamish and you like animals, maybe not. But, just
show it to your squeamish friend. Make them think it's just a happy film.
Show it to your vegan friends. They'll love it. They'll love it. Another film I watched, one that which I think we talked about on the podcast as well, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
I finally managed to see it before they ruin it.
With the What We Do in the Shadows cinematic universe.
Yeah, with the TV series planned and the sequel film spin-off planned as well, and it's just like, ugh. God. No, but I really like this film. This was a really, really good film, and I like the fact that it was a natural comedy. I that's why I completely understand the how would you put it, the referencing to like saying, oh, it's like Spinal Tap, because
Yeah.
everything they say isn't, oh, here's the joke. It's no, everything they say just happens to be weird and kind of stupid and kind of funny for the most part.
Yeah.
And I really do like how it was very clever in how it did everything. A lot of lines definitely caught me off guard for the most part.
Fun fact, if I'm correct, the director for Thor Ragnarok is actually one of the characters.
Yes, he is.
Which I can never pronounce his name.
I'm not even don't even bother trying to attempt that. Yeah, it's a really fun film. A lot of it's gonna be a quotable film in years to come, I think. Just a line: "Sit down. Would you like some biscotti?"
Brilliant.
You know, and stuff like that, and stand up and fight me like a man on the ceiling. You know, really
amazing,
really stupid stuff like that, which is great. And I like kind of the twist that they have halfway through the film and how they just integrate that with the best character in the film.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spoil too much. And the final two things I want to talk about, which I kind of wanted to rush to because I want to spend a little bit more time on them, is I watched a TV series. Oh my god, Raccoon watches TV series? I thought he only ever watched anime.
Yeah, where's the anime?
Oh, I've watched it. And that is a series which I kind of forgot about and then rediscovered, and I was like, oh, thank God I found out about this show. And that is Channel Zero.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
More specifically being season 1 and season 2, titled Candle Cove,
yeah,
and the slightly less intimidating name No End House, which is season 2. I'm not really going to talk too much about season 2 because it literally just ended less than a week ago.
Okay.
So some people are probably still watching it.
Yeah.
But Candle Cove, now that was a fucking horror story right there. That was a scary story.
Yeah. I still haven't watched it. I remember reading about it and it was like, creepypasta, the show? What?
Yeah, I know. It is based on a lot of creepypastas and internet stories, and obviously a bit like...
Yeah, because that's what put me off originally.
But no, it's like someone else went and wrote the show and actually turned this into a legit series. Very short, 6 episodes, 45 each episode. Candle Cove is by far the spookiest one still so far. It's basically... It's just so well done. It's got such a like... It reminds me a lot of like Silent Hill 2 and what are the other ones? I had a quick list of a few of the other references in which it kind of reminds me of. Oh yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of It. Stephen King's It. A lot of Stephen King influence in this, as well as Halloween 3. Reminds me a lot of that because the basic plot is this guy, child psychiatrist, after finishing a book, he returns to his hometown because something weird's kind of going on, and I'll kind of explain why. Well, actually, I'll explain now real quick. So, not to spoil too much, but I think this is just such... It kind of tells you how the show is going to play out. So, as soon as the episode starts, you got the guy sitting there, interview, black room, cameras in the background. The guy's like, so tell me about the new book you've written. He's like, oh, you know, I'm a child psychologist. I've done all this kind of stuff. And the guy who's presenting the show is like... how was it to lose your twin brother at such a young age? And he's like, well, I was unfortunate because it's like phantom pain, you know, and, you know, they never did discover the body, and it was like an incident that, you know, it's kind of nationwide known. And the guy's like, right, so I got a kid on the line. He just lost his brother, 12 years, think you can help him out. Obviously, the main character's kind of like, can we not really do this right now? And he's like, no, please. So, you know, you talk to the kid, and the kid's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then he's like still trying to talk to the kid. Oh, you can talk to me. And then it's like just static on the phone, and you just hear the same kid just say, when are you coming home?
Oof.
And so the guy's kind of like, the fuck? He's looking up at like the guy who's doing the interview show. He's not moving at all for some reason. Looks around, the camera crew has been replaced by dummies.
Damn.
And then he turns back, and then he's like, so, what did the kid say?
Yeah.
And it just cuts to something burning, and then the man waking up.
All right.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a very chilling opening. And the show does, and this is going to sound bad, and this might put more people off, it does it was just a dream very well.
Okay.
It does it very well, even to points where the main character has like lost his like brother, and there's points where he's thinking back to the past, and it cuts intertwined with modern day, and there's points where he's looking at someone but he sees someone else there.
Yeah.
Because that's how someone would view it in that kind of sense. And the show is very creepy and it's a slow-paced one.
Okay.
There's not constant blood and guts and everyone's thingy, and then you get this really weird show, Candle Cove, which is this weird puppet marionette show about a pirate, and it apparently gave all the adults when they were kids nightmares because it was just something that only ever happened once, and now it seems it's coming back.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, as soon as this guy comes back. So there's a bit of a mystery going on there. Not really sure what's happening.
I'm really intrigued.
It is very intriguing, and no end house. As much as the title isn't that great, because they really should have gone with the other name, which I'm not going to say actually, because it'd be a bit of a spoiler. But it's very interesting. It's got a very creative but unique concept where it's basically this haunted house just appears randomly in the world, and it's just like this attraction where it's like no one knows, social media, it's coming here. You won't find out until it starts advertising in your area, and then obviously all the kids are I gotta go in, and they're saying it's so scary. It's like six rooms. Some say people who get to the sixth room, they don't come back. It's very campy, but where it goes is like pretty freaking messed up.
All right.
It's pretty horrifying because it's the one that has, out of the two, it doesn't have a lot of like, I guess, general scares or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there's some freaky stuff in it. Like, I would recommend do not Google search either of these seasons. Just watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're going to see, well, as soon as you type it in or get it, you're going to see this really weird image and you'll be like, what the hell was that? But it gets explained.
Okay.
Really recommend those 2 seasons because they were a lot of fun. Perfect for Halloween. I know Halloween's over, but I would say perfect. Still, watch them anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the state of the world. It's pretty scary still.
Escape into something else scary.
Pretty much. All right. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Let's move on to our first topic. Ace, I believe you have this one.
Yeah. So I think it's become pretty apparent that the loot box kind of
craze.
In video games, which it was mostly in multiplayer, and now it's been stuck into single player stuff. It's just become exacerbated. Has reached its boiling point in a way.
Yeah.
So far enough that someone actually started a petition to the to UK Parliament, which got enough signatures for them to actually talk about it, and they're trying to see something about whether it counts as a gambling thing, and they end up actually reaching the Gambling Commission about this, to the point where, unfortunately, it doesn't constitute as gambling. The main reason being that it's the fact that you can't get any money back from it through trading or anything like that. So they've kind of shut it as it is at the moment.
Well, of course they would.
Yes.
Any time a business is threatened,
you
need to do whatever you can to defend it.
Yeah. And so, but apparently they're still going to be looking into it because they do want to protect consumer rights.
Yes, because the situation as it goes is, and one of the main worries is that it's essentially like a form of like soft gambling that can appeal to children and younger people who don't necessarily know any better for in some sense. And I mean, I should say it is very interesting. It is good that a petition for once has actually managed to get this far. I'm glad that it's actually of a somewhat important matter compared to other really silly things that don't matter, first world problems in that kind of situation. But it's good that it's at least been addressed for the most part, and that's kind of why we want to talk about it, because children can easily get sucked into these kinds of things, especially because it's so easy. It's not hard to grab your mother's credit card anymore.
Yeah.
Your mother's credit card is probably linked to your PS4 or something like that. You can buy anything on it, and there are tons of cases where kids have done that via their iPhone and spent all of their parents' credit card
especially
money.
in America, where it's literally not chip and pin, it's just chip.
Yeah.
So they can just instantly do that.
Yeah, it could literally, you could just be a bad parent and give your kid an iPad and be like, "Hey, play this game," and it's like, "Oh, you need to pay £5 to get to the next level," and then
and they're like, "Okay,"
and then it's all gone.
Yeah.
But I mean, and also I think it's partly due to the fact that it's a digital age.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why they're not looking into it any further, because that's probably one of their alibis, because they're probably looking for their own way to stay alive.
Well, so far from the bits I have seen, the Gambling Commission themselves, obviously, they're doing the best they can, because they're not a corporate entity. They're, as far as I'm aware, they are governmental.
To an extent, yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously, they have just found that it doesn't break any laws. It doesn't constitute as actual gambling. But corporations that are putting this in their games, they're trying to play it down.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no, it makes us money.
because this is our 60%.
Exactly.
We're not about to lose that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bad, because we've already seen instances of a lot of these shady situations.
Yeah.
I mean, you have things like, let's say, Overwatch, which is loot boxes. Yeah, people can trade, and League of Legends with skins. People do pay money for that, but it's not necessarily something that is 100% built into the game. For example, I mean,
it is mostly cosmetics.
Yeah, it's cosmetic stuff.
But it is still annoying.
It is. It is very annoying to see this kind of practice within the gaming industry, and I think,
especially when you pay full price for a game, and it's like,
here's this. It's stuff that anyone can easily say, I remember when I used to unlock this.
Yeah, and exactly.
DLC should really be an expansion more than, like you said, cosmetics, nothings.
Yeah.
And with a lot of these, and I think the time, and one of the reasons why it's been brought up, because we had a lot of bad situations with Counter-Strike Global Assault, with its lotto thing, and how that was run by two assholes who were basically scamming people out of a bunch of money. And those guys made a ton of money, and they're just two people, and the amount of money they've made and the amount of money other people have lost is a big situation. Obviously, Valve is under a lot of question for shadiness once again. And it's kind of sad, I find, because the game industry is really struggling to find a solid identity, because it's kind of starting to do well in the public eye as a means of, you got this variety, that variety. If you want to look at Nintendo, it's got this new crazy technology thing, and PS4 has every game you want, and multiplayer and all that kind of stuff, and there's no other competitors.
And
but
like, even as an art form as well, it's getting more recognized. People are actually doing analysis of them. They're seeing how you can use it in its respective medium that you can't do in others.
Yeah, and now we have this more prominent, like, darkness essentially coming in once again, that's going to essentially slap it with that bad name, because it doesn't need this now, because it doesn't, there are companies within the gaming industry who are going to take advantage of this and are going to start doing it if it does so well, and that's going to be a problem. DLC is bad enough as it is when it's not done correctly. You barely pay for a game now, to some extent.
I think there's one massive example I want to talk about, which is very current. The game Middle-earth: Shadow of War. It's the sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which I really enjoyed. This has actually got loot boxes in the game, and it's a single-player game. And one of the things is, throughout the whole game, you won't really need to use it at all. Like, first 3 acts, you're fine. Then it gets to the 4th act, which the credits have already rolled, so people are justifying this. And during that, it's essentially a massive, long-ass war in which more and more harder enemies are coming towards you, killing your people, and your people have permadeath. So you end up, spending money on a loot box to get stronger soldiers. Yeah, and that's the loop. And then obviously, those soldiers can die, and they will be targeted first. That's actually, if I'm correct, part of the code. They actually target your highest soldiers.
Yeah.
So it ends up creating this horrible loop, and it's frustrating, and most people don't finish the second part of the game because of it.
For fear of essentially being screwed over and having everything they've worked from essentially be stuck in death by a limbo.
It's horrible, and I think a big problem. And
what a great ending to a game.
Yeah, well, second ending. That's why people justify it. It's like, well, you don't need to. The game's over, and I really want to talk about this.
I know it's just real quick. It's just a bunch of arseholes going on about the fucking Nemesis system, isn't it? Again.
No, it's not. It's literally people saying you don't need to use it, so it's fine. And literally, this is a problem I have with gamers. Okay, so many times they will justify a bad thing in their game because they think the game is so good. Like, literally, people with Overwatch, you don't need the loot boxes, the game's fine. And someone says it, they take it as an attack on themselves. And I think people need to get past that. There are lots of games I love, like Deus Ex, and I think they spent far too much money on it, specifically the graphic content. They clearly tried to get hyper-real.
Regarding the newest one that came out this year, they essentially screwed themselves over on that front, yes.
Like, people shouldn't take the things they like so personal when people criticize them.
Yeah.
And gamers as a culture really do this. I think it's...
I would say a majority. I wouldn't say gamers
generalized
as a general
statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say there's a portion of people who are, I'll be honest, that's simple-minded.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Marvel and DC fanboys. As soon as they are attacked, they seem to just assume that you are the fan of the other one, or that you don't like things, and it's very childish.
The thing is, it ends up kind of stemming from, I don't know, like, quote-unquote nerd culture. Mm-hmm. All this time, people like these things, and they were attacked for liking them, and now that it's become public, they get so defensive about it. So when people start critiquing stuff, because it's, the new thing, they get defensive. Like, no, it's good, it's fine. It's happened with comic books, it's happened with video games, and people need to get past this.
It's frustrating for a lot of reasons, because being nice people, you want to help other people out, and you're kind of just sitting there or, standing there going, you're being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
And these same people who do these same practices are the ones going, it's fine because we'll have a good...
It's optional, we don't need it.
No, they won't even say that. They solely rely on those people to defend the game. It's how the game Destiny series is still around, because loyal fans have essentially defended it. It's a platform,
not a game.
Whatever, it's nothing interesting. They've essentially, used that. There are a lot of very interesting marketing strategies you can use, and that's one of them, is essentially stand behind the fans. You've probably seen it a lot happen with what's the basic, a lot is happening kind of with the notion to reboot films, for example, where it's not necessarily about what people remember anymore. It's more the case of, if we make sure that we appeal to these kinds of people and get them angry enough, they can promote the film for us. It's kind of why films like Baywatch failed.
Oh God,
because no one is going to scream and get angry about a Baywatch remake, but people will scream and get angry about a Lord of the Flies remake.
Yeah.
It's essentially using that rage and that fire to essentially give yourself a bit of protection, because and then pretend to make changes, basically. A lot of Destiny did exactly the same, where they had those very few complaints and they were like, oh no, we'll change it. Same thing with video games like No Man's Sky, essentially changing the game up to be more what people want it to be, despite the fact you really should have either done that in the beginning or just left it as it is.
Because that's, as I said before, like, I enjoyed it for what it was. I treated it as the indie game that it originally was before Sony
should have been
published it, and I enjoyed that experience. And now they've added all this new stuff, and I'm like, if I play this now, is it going to feel weird? Is it going to be wrong?
Is it No Man's Sky anymore? Exactly. Is it something else? Was this meant to be No Man's Sky? If that's the case, what did we get? But No Man's Sky is something for another very long video essay. You
could have hour-long discussions about that game. It's weird.
People have. There's tons of footage out there. But I think we're just kind of trying to give you examples as to how people can easily get away with this kind of practice. Because if it does become more prominent in the video game culture, it's going to be bad. And once again, kind of just to bring it all back, it's going to bring that bad name, that darkness to the video game community, and it's something we don't need. We don't need people going, oh man, we don't need the whole Diablo 3 thing of, I can auction off this and that, and, people getting scammed on video games. People do get scammed in video games. It's called the iPhone, but it's not something we need, and they need to readdress this, because, once again, with the gaming industry, it's like 3 steps forward, and now it's almost like another step back. Just when you made so much progress, not entirely the the video game industry's fault.
Yeah.
It's just those few shady people. But
I think that's the thing. I'd say it's like 1 step back, 1 step forward, 20 steps back.
Regarding the whole
whole industry.
I can understand
like,
that.
even if there's something good I really like, there's some really shady shit there, and I'm like, fucking hell.
You very rarely get something so pure.
Yeah. I mean, even with the case of Pokemon, let's say, I've been getting really frustrated with Pokemon as it's become, like, the whole Snorlax incident of the pre-order. You get the Snorlax, and it's got a special move that you can only get here.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're going to end up doing this even more. And it's like that with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon with that Lycanroc now. And it could get out of hand. It could continue.
It very, very easily get out of hand. And I mean, and I unfortunately kind of have to bring it up, is like DLC is linked to this kind of situation, I think, because of the rise of the digital format becoming so easy. It's partly to blame for the most part. But we want to keep a close eye on the story, because it is fairly problematic for the most part. Stuff we try and stay away from to some extent. But all I guess we can really kind of end this kind of discussion on is by basically saying talk with your wallet.
Yeah,
really.
And let's just say there's a game you really want to play, but it has this shady shit. Buy it second hand, or pirate it.
Don't go that far.
I'm not endorsing pirating, only saying that it is a suggestion.
I guess. But might have to cut that line maybe. But
I did say I'm not endorsing it.
But still, shouldn't have brought it up. Let's move on to our second section, which is going to be the official trailer 2 for the Netflix series Bright.
Yes.
The reason it's the second trailer is because I completely forgot about this series.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got wind of its big marketing campaign, which has shown itself, that I was like, oh man, we never talked about this series. Because it comes out in like 2 months' time.
Isn't it a film?
Is it a film?
I thought it was a film.
I thought it was a TV series.
Okay, yeah.
If not, that brings up more problems. But,
fair dude.
But yeah, this series looks really dumb.
Well, basically, the whole concept is fantasy stuff in modern world, like orcs, elves, etc.
Oh yeah, I know it's trying to essentially be an action body cop comedy and like the stereotypical fantasy setting, but I think and I hope that it is intentionally bad.
Possibly. I mean,
because I think it is.
I
actually hope it is.
The comedy looks very rough.
The comedy is so bad, it seems intentionally bad.
That's the thing. I'm unsure. That I can't think.
And one of the main reasons I think that is because everything else is surprisingly good for what it is. Like the makeup and the special effects are surprisingly good.
Okay.
They've actually got some talent behind it, being the cast and all that.
Yeah.
And it's taking itself seriously and not seriously at the same time. I mean, mainly coming from the actors' performances. I mean, yeah, you've got talent there, and I mean, they say Will Smith can make anything sound cool, but literally him screaming the line, "We have to get that magic wand back," and it being said straight. It's hard to read, and I do just hope that it's not taking itself that seriously, and it's kind of like a joke.
That's the most part. I think it is taking itself seriously as a comedy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't realise how bad the dialogue is. And I hope it's not that. I think
that's why I'm hoping that they know it's intentionally written bad, because I'm hoping that whoever's making this is smart enough to go, this is such a dumb concept, let me just make a parody of the buddy cop situation in a fantasy setting, because at face value nothing's really original here.
Yeah. I mean, literally the setting. If you want that fantasy and modern life setting, just play Shadowrun on the SNES. It's amazing.
Yeah, and and that's why I'm kind of very interested and hopeful that it is what I think it is, being being a show that's pretending to be bad in some sense. Because we have had a few of those. I forget, there was this one show. I don't think it was on Netflix. I think it was on Amazon, but it was basically a show. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but I know it was basically meant to be a almost like Russian-ish propaganda buddy cop show, and it was like
Comrade Detective.
Yes.
Yeah, I've watched the first episode.
I'm thinking maybe it's going to be something like that, where it's pretending to be one thing, but it's not. But given the scale of the marketing campaign, being how they have everyone and their dad on the soundtrack, literally everyone and their dad on the soundtrack, because Will Smith's on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, what's gonna happen here? I mean, doesn't really. I mean, they got balls going up against putting it in December.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix, so everyone's gonna be sitting at home.
Yes, so hopefully it'll be good. But I mean, I really don't know what to think with this one.
Yeah, I'm definitely probably gonna watch it because Netflix. But
I got nothing better to do.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say. One, I didn't like the song in the trailer.
No, it was awful.
And two, I'm getting really pissed off with these trailers that are doing this thing where they show a clip of the show, like film or show or whatever, and then it goes into the trailer.
Yeah,
I've seen that so
much. The reason that is because it's so that the trailer itself can become an advert to play in front of other videos.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, it's 5 seconds, so you can clip right after. So it's literally them obnoxiously going, "Oh, we shoved this in your face." Now you can skip. Now you know.
But I have ad block on.
Yeah, but so that's why you don't know.
Exactly. Like, but why is it 5 seconds of the actual clip in the trailer as part of the video?
It literally just what I just said.
But it's the exact video. They're showing me something they're already going to show me anyway.
Yeah, well, they don't think about that. They're too interested in just shoving it down people's throats.
Like, it was Pacific Rim Uprising had the same thing in one of the trailers I saw. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah,
it's literally so it can be a 5-second trailer when the video uploaded to YouTube becomes an advertisement so that they can still show you people the trailer. It gets pretty damn rampant right now. I am being assaulted by advertisements for season 1 of Stranger Things.
Really?
Vicious, yes, because they are just like, just going, "Oh, 11!" You know, literally just like, and it's pretty annoying. But there isn't too much you can do about that. But yeah, maybe we'll do a review and discussion when this film comes out. We have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Could be a Christmas miracle.
Who's gonna be right regarding this mysterious film?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the thing, we still don't know if it's a film or show. I swear.
I thought it was a TV series.
I think
it looks like too much is going on in it.
Exactly.
Like, I thought it was a series.
It's reminding me of Suicide Squad again, and it's the same director.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, I can't wait for everyone's introduction.
I mean, maybe it'll be better, because he's not working under Warner Brothers.
I think almost anything can be better than Suicide Squad at this rate. It's not hard to beat Suicide Squad. If someone told me I want to be a director, I want to make a film better than Suicide Squad, I would say, you're not aiming very high, are you?
I don't know, there's one film that's out at the moment, and it's pretty fucking terrible.
I thought you liked Thor Ragnarok.
You got me. Nah.
No, I think I have a hunch what you might be talking about. But yeah, and that's it. Discussion.
Yeah.
We are already on our discussion because, there's no news.
Yeah, like, literally the only thing that's really, happened is that there was the whole JFK files leaked, but you can't even keyword search. No. So how am I supposed to find anything?
You guys might as well just read it on your own.
I'm not going to read the whole thing.
If you want to. I think people are still trying to summarize that.
I know.
I've not even bothered with it.
I'm waiting for the Cliff Notes version.
But at the same time, I don't think that's quite relevant for the podcast itself. You can just imagine, JFK!
I just put my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. The JFK special.
It sounds like a food.
Yeah. But yeah, we are coming up, so as we've already said, it's the end of October, and we're going to do one final discussion regarding Halloween, and that is going to be the rather interesting relationship of music with horror. So basically, I decided to have a really fun one and talk about music once again, and I asked, everyone who's on the podcast, being the two of us, to essentially pick any kind of 2 songs, one soundtrack, and one general album that has that gives them or you the feeling of a kind of horror-ish, Halloween, dark and kind of creepy vibe to it. It could be absolutely anything. It doesn't have to be anything that is directly referencing Halloween or has anything to do with horror in itself. The soundtrack can be anything. The rules and that are going to be in the description below. So if you guys want to tune in with your 4 picks, please let us know. We'd actually love to hear some other ones, especially if they're going to be wild and crazy and people picking things that literally have nothing to do with those 4 things but still have a personal kind of connection in that matter. Hit us up, raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com. That is the email address. You can contact us if need be. So I think we do the songs first.
Okay.
We do back and forth.
I'd say
each section.
I don't really have an album.
Okay.
But I could do 3 songs or I could just like say an artist instead of an album.
If that's the case, then you go first with your first song.
Okay. First song is Subway Song by The Cure. Mm-hmm. This from their first album, which I think it's called Three Imaginary Boys, and it was released in America as Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah.
Which
been released twice as Boys Don't Cry with 2 album covers.
Yeah. But
actually,
Subway Song is essentially a 2-minute song, which only has like 7 verses, and it's about like a girl walking into this
walking home alone at night.
Basically, yeah, and she's really paranoid about like whether she's being followed or watched, and it's incredibly eerie. And the last half of the song, no vocals, so you've just got the atmosphere from the instruments, including a very piercing harmonica. Very great, very, very atmospheric, and I'd say listen to the full version because there's a cut one and it removes one of the best parts of the song.
Was this song released?
Yeah, it was fully released, but some people cut.
As in like a single, I mean.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a single.
Oh, it was just an album cut.
Yeah, but a lot of people cut a very good part of the song, which confuses me.
Yes, the first Cure album it's been butchered 3 times. There are 3 versions of it. And there's like a half version, which is Chinese Whispers, which is the technical, official first album.
Yeah.
Which I'm still trying to find. But yeah, go for the album cover that essentially has the 3 items in the pink background. That's the one you want. But yes, I'll go with my first song. And my first song, just by sound, decided to like ignore the rules I set, and that is going to be The Ministry. Every Day is Halloween.
Okay.
And this is an interesting song I recently discovered. It's basically the band themselves are regarded as goth wave.
Okay.
They have combed that in some kind of sense, but they have a new wave kind of synthesized beat to it, which is a very cool track. And it's basically, the song is about a guy, maybe the lead singer, essentially talking about how he dresses and how he literally is saying, for me, the way I dress every day is Halloween.
Yeah.
It's a very short song because it's more of a instrumental track, and I kind of have like the main chorus of the part I like, where he basically says, well, anytime, any place, anywhere that I go, all the people seem to stop and stare. They say, why are you dressed like it's Halloween? It's all... you look so absurd, you look so obscene. Yeah. To which he kind of has the chorus where he's kind of saying, why can't I live my life for me? Why can't I take the absurdity that is severed? Why don't they see they're just like me? It's a shame, this whole wide world. So he's basically saying, I don't really understand why you're criticizing me for dressing when you're unique as well. You should be doing your own thing. It doesn't really make much sense. And it's got this great kind of like nice beat to, even to the point where the lead singer is not even the lead singer, but the instrumental is kind of syncs up with them going ba 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 ba. It kind of has that almost like Halloween-ish theme to it, like it's from like a cartoon or something like that. And even to the point where it has like this really weird breakdown half, because it is mostly instrumental. It's a really weird like breakdown where you just hear some record scratching and it's just like, oh,
okay,
get into it. So it's a pretty fun song. I recommend listening to it because it's tons of people have made mashup music videos with different kinds of things, from literally using scenes from the film Halloween and other kinds of stuff. So I wanted to throw that song out there. Ace, your second song.
Yeah, so my next song is A New Beginning by Wolfie's Just Fine. I think I actually sent this to you last year, because it actually came out last year.
Okay.
And essentially the song is about the lead singer discovering Friday the 13th Part 5 for the first time as a kid.
Okay.
Literally, his reaction is as he's watching the film. I have the lyrics, so it's like... he ended up like, it made you laugh when he kissed your breast. I didn't get the joke. And all that kind of stuff, because it's from the point of view of him as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's then him as he sees the characters being killed on TV. And he's just shocked. And a very strong line was, it was about like he was getting excited, but he wasn't sure why. It's
Yeah, that
really
makes
great.
sense. There's a ton of... although BuzzFeed made a horrible video about like sexual awakenings and stuff like that, a lot of kids do kind of experience the weirdest things, and those things do definitely stick with you, whether they're things that scare you or you later find out really turned you on. Which is a very interesting subject matter to actually talk about, especially with such a specific film.
Yeah, I remember one of them saying about Lion King, and it was confusing as fuck to me.
That I don't get. I can understand things like Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand that, but Lion King, I'm like, so you're into bestiality then, yes?
Definitely. That's their
That's
kink.
confirmed.
Don't shame them.
I will shame anyone's kink, especially if it's fucking illegal.
No, I agree.
Do whatever you want in your home as long as it's not fucking illegal.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend the music video as well.
Okay, yeah.
Because they actually recreate some of the kills from A New Beginning.
Oh,
which,
cool.
Like, that's one of the most underrated Friday the 13th films as well. So good. I absolutely love this. And I think I forgot to put it on my year thing. Like,
favourite songs.
Yeah. Which is disappointing.
Things are bound to be forgotten about and missed. It's okay. As long as you later find something that you do enjoy, that's perfectly fine. My next song, my last one, is going to be probably the most unconventional song, and that is going to be from the Flatbush Zombies.
Okay.
With the song simply titled Death.
Yeah.
Flatbush Zombies are essentially a rap group consisting of Zombie Juice, Eric Art, and Darko Mishi.
Okay.
And this is essentially a song, the whole album, which comes off their second album, which you can download for free and listen to, simply titled Better Off Dead, which features the three members standing, I presume, in a graveyard at the dead of night by a very tall gravestone. So obviously they are definitely going with that very dark and literally the theme of death a lot of the time, and particularly on this track where... once again, I must recommend the music video because it's basically the three of them riding a tractor in the middle of the forest and eventually revving up a chainsaw and getting ready to kill some zombies for the most part. It's a very fun and kind of tongue-in-cheek video as they're spitting some great lines, and it's got a very weird and kind of wonky beat as you kind of have this weird like echoing in the background which sounds like voices, and towards the end of the song they kind of just let that simple beat play out when you hear like these really weird sounds of people kind of moaning or almost in pain, which is quite interesting, followed up by a very interesting sample. But I really love the chorus on this track, which is what you gonna do when them zombies come for you, which is also followed up by this very almost distorted whispering, murder, 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 kill, 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 which I think is quite fun. And it is a funny track, and there are some like fairly darker lines, like I think when Darko Michi is essentially saying is like survival of the fittest, I ate my twin in the womb, you know. There are a lot of like dark, like subtle tones in there, which is pretty great, and it's a very fun song. I listen to the whole album when it comes to October and November because that's on repeat for me personally. But yeah, I want to recommend that one if you like some rap and you want to see something that's got a little bit more of a concept to it, and it's from a free album and a good one at that. Your final song.
Yeah, so this one is a cover of Pirate Jenny by Nina Simone.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It is incredible and just atmospheric in general.
Everything from Nina Simone is incredible and atmospheric.
And, like, some bits are so powerful. Like, when she emits just a little chuckle at the end of one of the lines, it's like, that's strong. So good. Just in general, the Pirate Jenny as a story, because it's from an old poem, if I remember correctly, is dark as fuck. I think Lars Ventura actually made a film based on it. which I'm not going to spoil the name of.
Fair enough.
You have to discover that for yourselves.
Fair enough.
Really great, amazing.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll blaze through I'll do my album first, actually. Okay. My album is going to be Bauhaus, not the art movement.
Yeah.
The band Bauhaus.
Yeah.
In the Flat Field.
Okay.
Which is which the album cover kind of sums up this whole album. It's literally mostly black with a framed photo of a man standing naked in a house blowing a trumpet. And it's all like, it looks like it was taken during like 1930.
Yeah. And
it just says Bauhaus. And that's the album cover. And you just see the album cover and you're just like, that's gonna be some dark shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is some dark shit. On the version I have, the album starts off with the song Dark Entries.
Okay.
And it's literally this very dark and very loud song which has like this fantastic dark bass, and the main character is kind of talking about not really wanting to deal with these things and kind of being literally in this dark place, and the song just escalates to have this like kind of like horrid like vibe, even to the point where he's like, because one thing that's great about the album is the lead singer is so expressive that you can hear his character pretty much coming off, like you can visualize what this guy might sound like just from how he's kind of singing. And I think this song, he's like just singing so fast because there is a lot of like speed and pace and loudness, and it's like chaotic and it's demonic at some points. And there's a great moment where he's kind of like saying this one line and he's just going and he goes and he just continues, and it's just great that they just left it in because he's just like in the zone, just in that like raw passion for the most part. And that kind of follows through with a lot of the other songs, where like one of my other favorite songs, Nerves, where he's basically, or the band is kind of repeating the line, nerves are like nylon, nerves are like steel, kind of saying this is someone that you cannot deal with, you cannot scare for the most part. And it's great because it gets to this escalated point, we've got the piano and everything out, and they just keep repeating that, nerves like nylon, nerves like steel, and it gets like crazier and crazier and louder as more instruments kind of get introduced. And it gets to the point where they're saying it so fast, the lead singer is just screaming, no, he's like, nylon, steel, nylon, steel, you know, while the rest are kind of finishing that line, which is great. But there are some really, it is quoted as being like a gothic, or the first gothic rock album. Okay. And you definitely hear that. It's got a punk vibe to it as well. And I think for people who do like their rock very heavy, very fast, and very loud, and people who like punk, I would definitely recommend this album because it's a fun time. Yeah. There are fun songs like Telegram Sam and Small Talk Stinks, which are not the darkest songs, but they are very funny, almost punky, rockish songs. Where you have that chorus of Small Talk Stinks, you know, kind of got that nice kind of like, it's a much slower track, which is obviously followed up by some babbling gibberish at the end, which kind of goes back into that gothic, like weird, dark vibe for the most part. But it's a fantastic album if you've never heard it. 1980. So just after Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures. Yeah. So, and if you love Joy Division, definitely listen to this because it's like a weird like alternate part 2 to it. And my final pick is going to be for a soundtrack. It's going to be Akira Yamaoka's Silent Hill 2, the official soundtrack. Fantastic.
I almost picked that for my soundtrack as well.
I had a backup just in case because I had a feeling someone was going to pick Silent Hill 2. So I was like, I'm going to put Silent Hill, but just in case I have a backup. But yes, this is a true masterpiece that essentially, and it's kind of interesting when you actually listen, because I do listen to a lot of what inspired this album, being trip hop, electronic, ambient, abstract kind of music, especially coming from that 90s to 99 era, coming from people like Smith and Hack, Massive Attack, and various other Portishead as well. If you've ever heard any of those artists, or you like the Silent Hill 1 to 3 soundtrack, if you've never heard those artists, do, because you will be in love with those tracks. But it is such a beautiful and haunting album that has so much variety, even then you have the first track, which I have to get up the track list because there's so many to re-remember in that, because I have so many favorite songs on it. you know, when you have, I mean, one of the most famous songs, Theme of Laura,
Yeah.
which is the song that as soon as you put the disc in, that is the first thing that plays. The trailer and the introduction to this game, and it's just this great rock, this powerful rock track that just descends and he brings in all these instruments, and you just got these, it's always changing.
Yeah.
And it always tonally changes to the point where it's like, this is the weirder bit, or this is the more happier bit, and it's just like such a odd track. And then, you know, I have to keep looking back at this list, you know, and you got tracks like A World of Madness, which are these really just silent, echoey, just like one beat, just one piano just playing. You got this weird kind of like beat, and then you've obviously got a lot of like trip hop tracks where you just like the simple like,
Yeah.
you know, and you just got like weird harmonious, like demonic yet like church-based stuff, and you're just like, what is going on here? And I think probably the darkest song I find is the song literally what is it called again? It's not even that long of a song, Black Fairy, which is still to me one of the most disturbing songs I've ever heard in regards to what actually happens in the game. Did we forget to mention this is based on a game?
We did mention Silent Hill 2.
Okay, just in case, because I'd imagine not everyone plays games who listen to this podcast, and if you don't and you still listen to this podcast, you're awesome.
Yeah.
But that track, which is only like, it's like just over a minute, but it's like the weirdest thing of just this weird hummed one note as things escalate and they're going back and forth, and even the fact that the soundtrack even ends with a very rock-based, powerful track, very similar to the one that started, which is almost like that complete cycle for the most part, and it's just fantastic. And even the album cover, which doesn't even feature the main character, it features, I wouldn't even say the secondary character for the most part, just in a bar called Heaven's Night, and it's just, you know, of all the things, why would you pick that? And even the track Heaven's Night kind of sums up that image, despite the fact that image is never even seen in the game. But it has so much relevance. It's a fantastic album altogether. Every track is fantastic. It's one of the strongest composed things for, and no, some people probably get angry for, really one of the best games ever made. There's no real argument about that. It is one of the best games, simply put. You're allowed to like other games, but as long as you acknowledge how good Silent Hill 2 is, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, that's pretty much going to round up things. Hopefully you guys...
I did do my soundtrack.
Oh, you should. I forgot you had a... Go on.
So I decided to do a more current thing for my soundtrack, and it was something that I really enjoyed this year, being Prey.
Oh, if we can say Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Best horror soundtrack, man. No, it's the Taylor Swift album.
That's a true horror right there.
No, Prey soundtrack.
Prey 2017, to be exact.
Amazing synthwave just overall, with a great like dance track at one point, and the scene in the game is so good, and I think it's actually inspired by a Friday 13th scene, like Jason Takes Manhattan.
You might have to link me that track, because I've heard some songs, and this is I know the composer, very strong composer, and he definitely strikes me as one of those kind of guys where he didn't really look at the game. He was kind of just like, right. He probably just saw a concept image and was like, this takes place in a future space thing. Okay, I got you.
But I believe that track is... Damn, I can't even read this properly.
So many good tracks on this album. It really is a great kind of... I wouldn't even disgrace the album by saying an 80s throwback. It really is its own thing that is very clearly inspired by that period, that sound, which I think it works well because it does have that originality to stand on its own. Semi-Sacred
Geometry, that song.
Okay.
But just how the game starts as well with everything is going to be okay.
Yes,
and the track sums it up.
That
everything
track is perfect.
It ends up coming back at a later point, and it's so offsetting. You're like, no, this is fucked up. I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
It's a great reminder.
It's great when something can actually do that. And I even just go back to Silent Hill, you do have Promise and the Promise Reprise, which is two of the same songs, as well as Laura's theme kind of coming back towards the end as well within the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack. It's great when someone is able to really understand what they're doing with music and visuals for the most part.
Yeah, and the two tracks I really want to pay the most attention to being Typhon Voices. This is like a kind of 3-note track-ish, but like it does change. Where it's like a duh, duh, and then a little like break, and then another duh. But between the second and the third note, there's an ambient noise in there.
Okay.
And it sets a massive amount of paranoia in your head. Like, at times, it'd be like an enemy noise. Other times, it might just be metal settling. Or just something ambient. And it gets into you. It fucks with your head. Especially because at that point, you're like, is something chasing me?
Especially given within the context of the actual
Exactly.
game, and I'd imagine where its actual placement is.
Yeah, and the other one being The Phantoms, which is a violent song. It's aggressive, and as soon as it starts playing, you're like, I need to run.
It was sampled on Taylor Swift's new album as well, if I remember correctly.
But yeah, it sets off your fight-flight response so well. Great soundtrack. All of it's really good, and Mind Game is just an amazing, fun song to end it on.
Yeah. So strong. So hopefully you guys have opened up a few tabs or listened to podcasts, and you now have added those to your Amazon shopping list, or you now got it queued up or wherever, because there's some good suggestions. And once again, email us, raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com, if you want to let us know if you did like any of these songs and albums, or if you've got some recommendations, because if you're providing good music, I would love to hear that. We would love to hear that. That brings us to the end, but first we got the video of the episode, the final video episode of October 2017 for Halloween. It is a very appropriate one. It is going to be MGMT's Little Dark Age. They just came out of nowhere with this track. Very Halloween, gothic inspired. Almost, given what we've been talking about, it makes too much sense. And this discussion was conceived just before this came out, so we're not ripping off in any way.
Nah.
But fantastic music video. I love it. And a really good song too. I wonder where that album is. But we'll see. So check that out. We will see you on podcast 75. Should be a fun one because we're coming up to the last few.
Yeah, exactly. Not too many left.
Not too many. So I would say, guys, maybe start thinking about doing your lists.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd say. Just
got mine prepared.
Just a little hint. I would say just start thinking. Start thinking. I would say to everyone. And anything else you want to add to this podcast, Ace?
Yes. Watch the film Pontypool.
Okay.
Came out in 2009. Great horror film. Kind of zombie, but not exactly.
Okay.
That's all I want to say because it's very mysterious-y.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Fair enough. Final recommendation.
Yeah.
Go check it out. And if that's everything, I'll end this podcast like I always do by saying I am the Angry Raccoon.
I'm Ace.
And we will see you on the next podcast.
Auf Dui-san.
All right. Laters, guys.